Between the feedback of The Last Jedi by writer and director Rian Johnson and the Solo: A Star Wars Story box office results, a lot of Star Wars fans around the world have really been asking Disney and Lucasfilm for a big change for the Star Wars franchise itself. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, a lot of people recognized, what went wrong with The Last Jedi, how the character of Luke Skywalker was used, and certain plot elements here and there. No lightsaber duel. The list pretty much goes on and on. A lot of people were disappointed by a lot of elements in The Last Jedi. And going into Episode 9, we do know that Disney and Lucasfilm, they are really treating this film with a lot of respect. They really are trying to do so. And I don't know if you guys heard about the big story just yesterday, how J.J. Abrams is getting a lot of deals, especially by Disney as well, where he would basically be exclusively working with Disney and only making movies for Disney, opening up the possibilities of JJ making more Star Wars films. Now, we also have learned in that Episode 9 is being used as a course correction technique in order to not only save the Star Wars franchise, but also to fix the Star Wars sequel trilogy itself. And aside from all of that, what's really interesting is that apparently Disney's plan with Star Wars Episode 9 is using this film as a course correction for this franchise by listening more to the fans and applying that feedback to the film. Fan service and nostalgia will play a heavy role in drawing in people to seeing Star Wars Episode 9. However, this fan service and nostalgia is said to not be a cheap trick and will be very meaningful not just for the audience but both for the story and the characters. The marketing for Episode 9 will also be done in a very careful manner. Plans for the marketing of the film are being thought out right now and pre-planned in a way that would steer the trilogy in a new direction while also listening to the fans at the same exact time. And this is really raising a lot of, interest in Episode 9 and how Disney is actually listening to the Star Wars fans a whole lot more than before. So that's the thing here. With The Last Jedi, I really do believe that both Disney and Lucasfilm recognize the amount of people that were very much unhappy with The Last Jedi. And hey, if you guys like The Last Jedi, that is perfectly fine and okay and all. To each his own. Whoever likes the movie, that's fine. I totally get that. But as for me, I had a lot of problems with it. I disagreed with a lot of aspects of that movie. And you could just see how many hardcore fans were upset with The Last Jedi. And that's the point here, is that, well, a lot of the hardcore fans are the base of people that see these movies 2 times, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, and that's a lot of movies. So it's really the hardcore fans who see these movies throughout multiple viewings, and that of course adds in more revenue for Disney and Lucasfilm, and that's a good thing for them. And that's why I believe that, Solo: A Star Wars Story got the box office results that it did, is because a lot of people were unhappy with The Last Jedi, and also not everybody was really asking for a Han Solo film. As for me, I thought it was a good movie. It was entertaining. I only saw it once, however. I didn't see it 2, 3, 4 times like I did with The Force Awakens. But looking at Star Wars Episode 9 here, it's really nice to know that they are using this film as a course correction technique. They will be listening to the fans a whole lot more, and they're going to be choosing the marketing style in a very careful manner. Now, that's the thing here. Is this really enough to fix the Star Wars franchise and essentially, steer this trilogy in a totally new direction? Is this really enough? Now, I'm not quite sure if it is, but I do think it is most definitely a great change, and I think it's a start. So, with all the hardcore fans, I think the fact that there's still a lot of people who just don't want to see this movie, and that's perfectly fine and okay and all. As for me, I'm very curious as to how JJ will be taking this movie in a new direction and ending the Skywalker saga, and how Disney and Lucasfilm will be marketing this movie as a mega event, because it will be the last and final chapter film. This is going to be the last movie that has anything to do with the Skywalkers or any characters that know of and are connected to the Skywalkers in the form of a chapter movie. This is the last one of that. So this is a huge deal. It's a historical film. They really do have to get this right, and I believe that they realize that, and I think that they also realize that a lot of people who dislike The Last Jedi are more than a minority. I really do believe that at this point. Are they going to say that per se? Not necessarily, and I think that Bob Iger realizes that a lot of people just don't necessarily trust Rian Johnson. I think it's pretty safe to say that's why he left Rian Johnson's name out of that statement when he was bringing up all of the upcoming projects. You know, he mentioned the creators of Game of Thrones and their set of Star Wars films. He mentioned them figuring out exactly what the new trilogy is going to be and all like that, and of what's to come after J.J. Abrams. But no mention of Rian Johnson, so I found that a little off there. So, Disney and Lucasfilm, the fact that they're listening now, you know, they have eyes and ears open from the Star Wars fans, and they're listening to feedback, they're trying to do things right, they're trying to really use Episode 9 as a course correction technique, and is this going to be enough to fix Star Wars? I'll have to say, I'm just not quite sure. I'm not. I'll have to wait and see how great this movie's going to be, how much they really listen to the fans, you know, throughout principal photography, leading into post-production. I think that, you know, it's worth mentioning that if you look at Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, a lot of people wanted Vader, and we didn't get that Vader scene until they did a lot of reshoots. If it weren't for the reshoots in Rogue One, we wouldn't have had that epic Vader moment at the very end of the film. So you can see that Disney does listen to an extent. But with Episode 9, they're going to be listening on an extra level here, and they're going to be choosing that marketing style in a totally different way in comparison to The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and Solo. So, is this enough, guys? That's my biggest question for you. I'll have to say I'm not quite sure. I think that they may have to do a little bit more than this, but that's just my take. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.